Hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law, where, as always, we learn through the misfortunes of others. I'm your host, Uncivil Law, a licensed attorney in Texas, Virginia, and before the U.S. Supreme Court, and I hope you're having a great day. For today's story, we turn our attention once again to our friend who decided to attack a judge in Las Vegas because he just wasn't having a very good day. Just not really feeling it. He decided to do a whole Superman thing. Leap right over the defendant's bench and then Superman it right over the judge's bench, causing serious injury to a deputy who got one serious gash in his head, incidentally, and also some minor injuries to the judge, but nothing worth writing home about, right? She was either treated on the scene or it was relatively minor. So no major damage to the judge, but one of the deputies had a very serious gash in his head. So we return our attention once again to Las Vegas to resume the sentencing hearing for which we were previously interrupted. Here's how he came into court today. You see that we are facing a slightly different modus operandus by the court personnel who've decided to up security somewhat. So unsurprisingly, he's in full shackles. He's got a spit hood on, and he's also got these rubber things on his hand just to make sure that, he can't punch or anything. So he's got full shackles, full waist shackle, full leg shackles. He's got things on his hand, these rubber things, and also a spit mask. How fun. So we're going to watch this very brief sentencing hearing. And then, perhaps even more excitingly, we're going to hear a statement from both his sister and his mother, who, of course, during it will express nothing but shame and regret for their son/brother, who, of course, they will acknowledge did things wrong. It was his choices. He's made bad choices and deserves everything that's coming to him, right? Right? That's what the sister and mother are going to say, right? Nothing like, our baby didn't do nothing wrong, right? Surely they're going to see that after the 3 felonies, the 9 misdemeanors, and all the domestic violence that he's done, this is just one more thing that he has coming his way, right? We're not going to get our baby didn't do nothing wrong, are we? Okay, so let's watch this very brief sentencing hearing and comment as we go. Let's get started with this. Look at these nice rubber mitts he's got on. Those are some serious mitts.
Here now. Good morning. All right, this is on for the continuation of Mr. Redden's sentencing. When we were last here, arguments were concluded and the court had begun to pronounce sentence when an incident occurred. An incident initiated by Mr. Redden preventing the court from completing sentencing. That is the sole purpose for today's hearing. Any other issues that may arise from the events that occurred last Wednesday will be handled at a future date by a different court. For purposes of the record, I want to make it clear that I am not changing or modifying the sentence I was in the process of imposing last week before I was interrupted by defendant's actions. I am making my calendar page from that day an exhibit for the court. As it existed the moment I walked in, from prior to anything happening, nothing's been changed, indicating the sentence I intended to impose. I'll let you with that for a moment. All right, that being said, in accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court does now sentence you in addition to the $25 administrative assessment fee, $150 DNA fee, the $3 DNA administrative assessment fee, and $250 indigent defense fee, 19 to 48 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. How much credit for time served does he have?
It's 0 days. He was on probation when he committed the offense and was revoked on probation to serve the jail time October 25th. That time it expired at or about the time of the plea. So
0 days credit. Mr. Almasi, if that's different, let us know and we'll fix it.
I will.
The motion to quash mandatory is moved at this point. And for the record, I just reflexively wrote 0 days credit time served on the notes exhibit that I just said. So that is an addition as of right now.
That's correct. The probation case number, just for the record, is C370775.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so that, very short hearing, 2 minutes flat, right? 2 minutes flat. Nothing, no muss, no fuss. Now, I express a bit of disappointment here because I think the judge should have pushed it to the wall. I think she can, ethically, legally. I think she can, as far as I can understand, on the rules of ethics and the law, right? For all the reasons we've sort of discussed before. So I think she can, she obviously, so she makes a matter of record her calendar page, which she says apparently reflects somehow, but let's press past that. But apparently her calendar page reflects her intention to give that sentence, 19 to 48 months. Now, that being the case from her calendar entry, that was her intention. Obviously, she can change her mind up to the last moment. And it can't be fixed because, it's always possible that the defense or the prosecution, or for that matter, the defendant might say something. And Ian Runkles commented about this from his own experience, where he's had a client that was all but doomed, but due to some last second thing, the right argument at just the right time, the judge changes their mind and, shows mercy or enhancement, as the case may be. So, it can't be obviously the case that the judge is fixed to what she came into court with her intentions, because if it were fixed the moment she came into court with her intentions, then he wouldn't be getting due process. He's entitled by law to give a statement in his own defense, and he's entitled by law to offer evidence that's relevant. So it can't be fixed at the time of sentencing. And also, I think, as a matter of ethics and a matter of law, that the judge taking note of what we'll call the defendant's motion for reconsideration by leaping over the bench would be completely proper, because the judge would only be factoring things in that the defendant themselves are bringing into the hearing. Right? Well, I was going to give you this time, but I've been persuaded that that is no longer sufficient due to your actions / all the rest of it, right? So I don't think that, at least as far as I can tell, under the relevant rules of ethics, under the relevant rules of law, and again, maybe Nevada is different for some reason, but maybe I'm misreading the rules of ethics or the law, and if someone wants to point out why, I'd be happy to reconsider, as I always am. But I think the judge can legally, ethically, morally take note of what he did in the courtroom with respect to the sentence he was already being tried for. Now, of course, she can't punish him for the things that she did to him, or that he did to her, rather. She can't punish him for that. But it would be proper to take notice of the violent proclivities as a reconsideration of the sentence, at least as far as I can. But as she notes, that any other charges that may or may not arise as a result of her actions will obviously have to be heard by a different judge, because she would be obviously conflicted out. Not for the least of reasons, incidentally, that she's probably a necessary party. She's a necessary party. She would have to be a witness, or she's a very likely witness. So, because the attack happened on her. So she can't be the judge of a case in which she is a witness to, obviously, except as it relates to contempt. And incidentally, and for the same reason, I'm surprised that she didn't tack on an additional 6 months for contempt. I mean, it was direct contempt in her presence. So why not tack on an additional 6 months for contempt? I don't know. I mean, even if she was going to stick to the sentence that she gave, I mean, given the 6 months for contempt, I guess. But maybe she just thinks it isn't really necessary, because by the time, that probably not so much with parole for him, I guess, I'd imagine, probably not so much for parole. So he's probably going to serve all 4 years, I would guess. And by the time that, he gets through to trial and all the rest of it, because there's not exactly a lot of discovery, right? So we can put him on the fast track to a future case, right? Because there's basically no discovery, right? Everything that happened in the courtroom. And so you have the statements, you have all the statements that they gave to police, and you have, the video, and that's basically it. So, the discovery is basically already done. You just give it to them and you send up a new thing, right? So you put him on a speedy trial and call it a day. So maybe she thinks it's not necessary because he's going to get, all the time ever, and she doesn't want to have the issue. But again, for the same reasons, I don't really know why. Because if she had, whacked him by giving him 15 years, and he had appealed, and assuming I'm wrong on the law, right? Assuming I'm wrong on the law, and the Court of Appeals is like, no, you should resentence him, that was improper. Then by the time that decision comes down from the Court of Appeals, we're kind of back where we started, right? We're back still with his trial, and he's been sentenced to whatever. And then I'm like, okay, I recuse myself because I came up with the wrong decision. Some other judge sentences him to a corrected term of 19 to 48, but at which point it no longer matters because now he's serving the, basically effective life sentence for all the new fun, exciting activities that he did or whatever. So, or he's serving the 15 years for the new exciting charges. So, I don't really understand why the judge went this way. I don't think it's required. I don't think it's ethically required. I don't think it's legally required. I'm not sure what's going on there, but perhaps I'm not considering something or not seeing something, or perhaps there's relevant case law that I'm not considering or not seeing. So I'm always willing to defer to someone knowing legally more than I am. So maybe some judge did it sometime in Nevada and the Court of Appeals has already whacked them around. And so they're like, I'm not going to do that because I can't. So I'm going to presume the judge knows more than me and that's why she's doing what she's doing, but that is what it is. All right. So yeah, that being the case, however, so he gets 19 months to 48 months for the crime that she was sentencing him for. 19 to 48 months for the crime she was sentencing him for, and yet to be determined what sentence will occur for the crimes he committed against her during the hearing, which presumably is at least a minimum of 15 years because it's assault on a protected person times like 10. The judge, the officer, the clerk, like everyone else in the courtroom. So it's assault against a protected person times like 10. So presumably 15 more years plus whatever else we can figure out. Obstruction of justice or whatever else. So all the rest of it. But that sentence waits for another day and another time and another courtroom with another judge and all the rest of it. So all the good things, right? Yeah, 13 charges for fun. Yeah, you got the picture, right? So yeah, obstruction of justice, attack against a protected person times whatever, and maybe criminal contempt, which typically is like a 2-year penalty. So maybe tack that on for criminal contempt. Maybe that's why she doesn't do it now. So we'll get like 2 years later because you can't convict him of the same thing twice. So maybe she defers on the contempt that she can do because she's limited to 6 months, direct contempt, and she defers for criminal contempt, which typically is 2 years. But of course, Nevada might be different. So yeah, so all the rest of it. So let's go now listen to the statements from the mother and sister, who of course will accept full responsibility in every possible way because they realize the error of their son/brother's way. So let's listen to these great contributors deciding how they have to how they assess the thing. Let's listen more. He is currently 30 years old.
33.
My name is LaDonna Daniels, Ladonna, and Daniels, Daniels.
In your relationship?
I'm his sister.
So can you...
This is LaDonna Daniels. She is the sister. Let's see what sis has to say to the equation about the justice that's come due. He deserves everything that's coming to him. He's a beater of women being a woman myself. I can't tolerate that kind of behavior. Deserves everything that's coming to him, right? That's what she's going to say, right? Let's find out.
Just tell us, we've only seen the video, so tell us about he's your half brother, right?
No, he's my whole
He's your
brother.
full brother. So tell us about your brother and the brother that we haven't seen. Who is he like? What is he like? And how did he get in this situation?
Well, he's basically born with mental illness. He was born with crack cocaine in his system. So his chance in life was taken at birth. Deep inside, he's a good person. He's just not had the opportunity in life to be surrounded by positive people, meaning his.
Well, I mean, if he's not had the opportunity in life to be surrounded by positive people, that presumably includes both his mother, who's also going to testify, or testify is the wrong word, but give a statement, right? So crack mom over here is going to give a statement. And so she's not a positive influence on his life. And also, by logical extension, she's also not a positive influence in her life. Because if he's never been surrounded by positive people in his life, that means both mom, crack mom over here, and possible crack sister are not positive people in his life. Also, he's making choices not to hang out with positive people in his life. I make choices to hang out with people like Ian Runkle and Nate the lawyer and Attorney Tom and Rob Morton. I went to the gym today, to make positive influences on my life. The first time since Thanksgiving, I was at the gym. But hey, as long as we pick ourselves up, it's okay that we fall down. But if he's not making choices I've done improv and comedy and all the rest of it. And so if he's not making positive choices, that's a little bit on him. Let's listen to more of these excuses.
Family. I can see that my brother just felt betrayed at the time when he was pleading and saying that he was in a better place, which is different for us all to be in a better place. I mean,
I'm not sure that he was in a better place. Again, his statement that he was in a better place was belied by his actions. So, did he feel betrayed? Well, it seems the judge was correctly assessing, as the judge, that he was not, in fact, in a better place. And the judge's assessment seems to have been ratified by the defendant's conduct. So, okay. But he felt betrayed. Oh, okay.
when we struggle from mental illness, it's a chemical imbalance. Just as most addicts have chemical imbalances out there, who wants to stop using, who can't. It's something that we suffer from. I don't think sending him to prison is going to deter anybody who suffers from a mental illness. They need to be surrounded by healthcare professionals who can treat him, and so that he gets the right treatment that he needs.
All he needs is some mental health treatment. By the way, just for the record, because you might have forgotten since last time we did the stream, but he has twice been through mental health court because of mental health in his previous run-ins with the law. So we've tried the mental health route. Twice we've tried the mental health route as a way to defer. So we've given him these opportunities twice, right? But he doesn't need new opportunities. Remember, he doesn't need new opportunities by his own admission because he's reformed. Remember, he's in a better place in his life. So he himself says he doesn't need mental health treatment because he's already in a better place. He has that union job from the Teamsters. He's in a better place. So he doesn't need treatment himself. He says he doesn't. So we've already tried that. He says it's not necessary. And also, he's responsible for his own decisions. But he just needs some more mental health treatment by trained professionals. And also, not for nothing, by the way, but deterrence, which she refers to, she in a technical sense refers to what's called general deterrence, right? So as long as we're going through criminal theory 101, right? Why do we put people in jail? Why do we put people in prison, right? So she says there's no deterrence effect. Now, what she's referring to is what we call general deterrence, the ability to deter people in general. We are punishing him in this context, in this particular context. We're punishing him not to do anything with respect to him, but we're punishing him to send a signal to others as an exemplar, as an example, right? That's the whole idea for general deterrence. It doesn't have anything to do with you particularly, right? We're just using you as a message to other people. All right, so she says there's no general deterrence. First of all, I'm not sure that's necessarily true, but even assuming it's true, right, she fails to consider other reasons for which we send people to prison. For example, specific deterrence, right, to discourage him in the future, which maybe that isn't working for him either. It's because he can't be deterred because we've already tried that with the 3 other felonies and 9 other convictions, and God knows how many other domestic violence. So specific deterrence doesn't really work for him either, but that would be another reason that we whack someone over the head, right? We whack them with a whacking stick, preferably in a light way on a first offense, so they'll stop doing it. But specific deterrence doesn't seem to really work for him. And then we got rehabilitation, which also doesn't seem to be really working for him. The idea that we can fix him and make him better through the penal process, that doesn't really seem to be working. So but we do have two theories left. We do have two theories left of criminal justice which work better for him. One is isolation. We keep him away from the rest of society. Just keep him away from us, right? So we're punishing you in this context solely to keep you far away from me, right? And that works for me. And also reciprocity. We're punishing you to balance the scales of justice. Also works for me, right? We're punishing you because we need to balance the scales. So reciprocity, isolation are working in this context. Not so much working in this context. General deterrence, specific deterrence, or rehabilitation. But we have many reasons we send people to jail. 2 out of the 5 are working. It's good enough for me. Let's listen to some more.
He's been in and out of mental health court, so now he's going to go to prison on this thing, right? You were saying to me when we were walking down here, you don't think that that's going to help him in any way?
It's not, because the people in prison are trained to, for prisoners. They're not trained for people who suffers from mental illnesses. So he will not get the proper treatment that he needs.
This case went international.
First of all, that's not complete.
How
All
is it
right.
moving?
First of all, that's not completely true, although it is mostly true, but it's not completely true. To the extent that he truly requires mental health treatment, the state has to provide it, just as surely as they have to provide any other health care needs that he must have, because he is no longer able to care for himself. So in this context, the state does have an affirmative duty, because they have made him effectively the state's ward, right? Because he can no longer provide for himself. So the state must provide for him. So first of all, he does get some treatment, although it probably won't be as much as, he would get in a true mental health context. But also, we've already tried that. Once again, we've already tried that. So yeah, the guards are there to deal with the prisoners. And they're there on the blunter ends of the whacking stick. But, given that we've tried literally everything else up to this point, the blunter ends of the whacking stick are due. They're probably due long ago, but they're definitely due now. But, sister over here is apparently not feeling it. She's not feeling like he's responsible or should be held responsible. Not so much accountability on this family. So whatever.
Dealing with that.
Well, we've all just been thinking more, of our rights as individuals. And anybody whose mind is not of a normal person should not be judged in a manner of a person who's normal like you and myself.
He is legally competent. You can be quite mentally ill and still be legally competent. So I have mental problems is a long way from incompetency. Do you have a basic fundamental understanding of what's right and wrong? Do you have the fundamental ability to control your actions on a fundamental level? Like, as opposed to them being purely impulsive, like a tick in your arm or something, like I hit him, not because I wanted to hit him, but I literally had a muscle spasm, that kind of thing, right? So it wasn't my choice. It wasn't a voluntary act. So can you choose, and do you understand the difference between right and wrong? If so, you're sane enough. Also, again, we've tried the mental health route. We've done the mental health court twice. We've tried. He's failed. All that we have left is the brunt end of the whacking stick. But she's like, he shouldn't be judged. He should just be given another chance, all the chances, all the enablement. My brother didn't do nothing wrong. He's a good boy with a good heart. Just another chance. My mom loves me, and I doubt she'd have my back this far. Damn.
He tried to speak for himself, which I just think he shouldn't have never been allowed to take the stand or speak on his own behalf because of his condition.
He shouldn't have been allowed to speak on his own behalf because of his condition. He has the right by law. It's his right. It's the right of allocution. because he's competent. His lawyer could have advised him not to, but it's his choice, right? He has the right to testify on his own behalf. He has the right to allocute. He has the right to make a statement. He came with I don't know if prepared is necessarily the right phraseology, but he came with a rehearsed statement, which he apparently has cobbled together over the years with the 3 felonies and the 9 misdemeanors and the domestic violence that he has through his previous interactions with his fellow compatriots in the criminal justice system, gathered the right buzzwords together and has rehearsed this monologue, soliloquy, through long, hard trained experience. So, but he shouldn't have been allowed to speak on his own behalf. But if we didn't allow him to speak on his own behalf, assuming the premise, right, assuming we ignore the law for just a second, right, and just play pretend, if the judge had been allowed to deny him and denied him, it would have been unfair because he wasn't allowed to speak for him. You see, himself. You see, you can never win, right? Assuming the judge could do it and said, no, you're not allowed to because you've been found to be mentally ill and you shouldn't be allowed to speak for yourself. They'd be like, no, that wasn't fair. He should be allowed to speak for himself just because he's mentally ill. That isn't right. The lack of accountability over here is real. The lack of accountability over here is extremely, extremely real.
What was your thought when you...
By the way, how are you doing, Good Logic? How are you doing, Good Logic? It's good to see you. Thank you for jumping in the chat. You're a good man. I miss you. I miss you. I miss you, darling.
saw this video that went viral? I mean, obviously you're talking about it.
Yes, I just think his reactions were not premeditated. It was triggered because he seemed to have been pleading for his freedom. He has been off his psych meds since he got out of jail, but because he doesn't have an appointment until March.
Well, if he's been off his psych meds, that's a little bit on him. That's on him. He needs to figure that out. He doesn't have an appointment till March. If he needs psych meds on a rotation, that's on him. His decision not to take psych meds is on him. But not so much.
Of this year, so he has not taken anything at all. And I think when the judge says, it's time for you to get a taste of, became a trigger, and in his mind, he felt threatened.
Well, taste of apparently was a threat, although in this context, it isn't so much a threat as this is happening now, right? I'm not threatening you. I'm actually doing it to you. So I suppose this is assault because I'm not threatening. Well, is it battery? Because I'm literally doing it to you. Can you commit battery with words? Let's say you can. So I'm committing battery because I'm literally doing it to you. But it's so apparently a taste is a trigger. He was triggered. You see, he was triggered, and it was because the judge used the words taste of. If she had used different words, he wouldn't have done it. But taste of, because he felt threatened, because he was triggered. Once again, at the risk of stating the obvious, if he is this easily triggered, right? How many people have triggered him in his life? How many women have triggered him in his life? It's not my fault that I beat you and beat her and also beat her and also beat this other woman and also beat this other woman and also beat this other woman. It's not my fault that I beat any of these women. It's all their faults because all of them, each of them, used at some point a trigger word, which I'm imagining to his mind is a fairly extensive list. It's a fairly extensive list. And so that when we go back to our purposes for prison again, isolation is the one that pops most to mind, right? It's like, if he's this easily triggered, then isolation is the most dominant penal theory that pops in mind. We literally need to just separate him from everybody else. That is the only purpose for this at this point. Just keep him away from me because he's that easily triggered. But he has no responsibility, by the way. He has no responsibility to like meditate or work on his triggers or do anger management or anything. If he's triggered, he's justified. Sister over here has no sense of accountability whatsoever. No sense of accountability.
We all have the capabilities to do what Diopra did, and that is to leap that high when our fight or flight mechanism.
Well, not for nothing. I'm not sure all of us have that capability because I don't know about you, but my fat ass cannot leap that high. And even if it could, control of oneself. Control of oneself. You know? Mr. Rogers, when he testified to the Senate very, very long ago, when they were fighting for funding from the government to help fund Mr. Rogers' show, which at that time was not being funded by the government, and they'd like some government money, please. One of the things he did to convince Senator Sartori that his cause was just was to say that he wrote a song about the feelings that people said. He says the song starts out with, what do you do with the mad you feel? And that line came straight from a child. I do work with children. What do you do with the mad do you feel? Do you pound some clay or some dough? Do you round up some friends and go for a run to see how fast you go? It's great to stop and think this song. I can stop when I want to, stop when I wish. I can stop anytime because this feeling is really mine. And what a great feeling to feel inside this level of control. You know, it's like Mr. Rogers was preaching this 60 years ago, but apparently he didn't get the Mr. Rogers lesson about, you know, when you feel the mad, the ability to take that and control that feeling because the feeling is really yours and you are superior to your feelings. Apparently he didn't get the Mr. Rogers lesson. And so he's just doing the whole I believe I can fly routine. He needed more Mr. Rogers. That's definitely the problem, lol.
Response is triggered when we're threatened. We can jump that high. We can leap that high. So in his mind, it's realistic that his life was feeling threatened, and that's what happened.
Do you think that if the judge didn't say that last line, that this would be a different story?
I strongly believe that. I strongly believe that because it was that statement that was the trigger.
Have you had any communication?
She strongly believes it was that statement that was the trigger. And even if she really does believe that, again, apparently, according to his long criminal history of the things we know about, by the way, because he probably didn't get it's probably not true, because it like never is, right? No one is ever brought to trial for every single thing they do, right? They are only brought to trial for some of the things they do. So it's probably not even known how many domestic violences he did, right? How many did he do before the woman finally complained or the woman finally made a notice? Was it the first time she was ever hit? Did she make a DV complaint the first time? Probably not. No, probably not. You know, how much did he, and how did every woman he beat make a complaint? Probably not, right? So we only know about the ones we know about. So even assuming that, you know, this was the trigger phrase, I have to ask, what are the additional trigger phrases? Because if he's been brainwashed and hearing the phrase turns him, you know, into a zombie robot because of conditioning or whatever, could you give us a full listing of all the phrases we're not allowed to use? Because it seems like it's a pretty long list. Once again, isolation, just keep him far away from me, is looking really, really good right about now. You know what I mean?
Since Wednesday?
No, I haven't.
I have. And actually, once we found out that he didn't appear in court on that.
So I'm told this is actually foster mom, not crack mom. So we will not be hearing from crack mom today, sadly enough. We're just going to hear from foster mom. And she's going to have some thoughts on this and say it's all, you know, accountable, right? Let's see what's going on.
My mind automatically went to, what did you do to him? Where is he at? When I came, media everywhere, and I go over to the jail, and I'm trying to do the visits, and there's no visitation for him at this moment. Then why? Where is he? He has.
There's no visitation for him at this moment. I went to go try to see him after the incident. There's no visitation. Can anyone think of any reasons why there might not be visitation at this particular time? Anyone have any clues? Anyone have any ideas why, since the incident occurred, the jail has not felt very comfortable with having visitation hours? Anyone have any thoughts about that? Why might there not be visitation?
Call, but apparently Tony Abatangelo, a good attorney that I know, was able to access someone from the inside to actually call, and they called me last night. And I explained to Deopa, like, it's not a circus, what you did, no way do we condone it, but I know your struggles, and I know the voices that you hear, and I just felt I tried to soothe them and, say, just come to court and, whatever's handed down, just take it. Like, what else can you really, truly do? But I just felt like to even be going back in front of her courtroom, that was totally biased. Like, why?
Okay, going back in front of her courtroom, that was totally biased. No, it's not biased, as I've extensively appreciated. And it's particularly not biased because she's giving literally the recommendation that both the prosecutor and defense lawyer said. They both said 19 to 48. They said 1948. They didn't say the two, which initially confused me because both of them said 1948. And I was confused. What the hell is 1948? Right? Because I was like, is that a statute? What the hell is 1948? Right? So it's 19 to 48. They left out the two. But yeah, that's literally what both the prosecutor and defense lawyer recommended. So how biased can she possibly be? Also, if she had nailed him to the wall, I don't think it's biased either, within the sense of law, because there's this great idea in law between the difference between prejudice and undue prejudice, right? So we've talked about that before, right? There is undue prejudice, but there's also not undue prejudice. Otherwise, prejudice that's due to you. And at least to my mind, this falls into that category. So I don't think it's bias. Bias is not the same thing as judgment. I just think it's judgment, but other lawyers, and apparently this woman also disagrees with me, but that's okay.
Why? What, you want to send a message or what? At the same time, he's like she said, he suffers from mental illness. It's always been documented. It's always been stated. Even when I got him from the foster care system at the age of 12, it was documented that he was severely emotionally disturbed. By the time he was 18, he left and branched out on his own. But every day, like you say, he's trying to do better. He just got released November of 2023. 6 weeks ago? Something like that. He just got out.
Well, he's not doing really great. He's not doing really great. Yeah. He just got out, and in that time, he's managed to commit a new offense, and he's being sentenced for it. I mean, so let me get this straight. In the 6 weeks he's been out, because presumably it had to be an offense that occurred while he was out, right? I mean, presumably. So in the 6 weeks he was out, he committed a new offense against a protected person and then did it again with the judge. Also, like everyone else in the courtroom. He's not very good at the impulse control. Yeah, the charge was pled down to a lesser crime. Most states he already been a life for habitual felony. He failed mental health court. I know, we've discussed it. Yeah, 3 strikes, you're out kind of thing. I know. But maybe if Nevada has a 3 strikes thing, I imagine the next one might be that strike. So I don't know if Nevada has a 3 strikes thing. He's already had 3 strikes. He's already had his 3 strikes, but 3 strikes is discretionary in every state that I'm aware of, right? You don't have to do it, right? So for those of you who never heard the term before or not familiar with American law, a lot of states adopted this 3 strikes, you're out policy. 3 felonies, and your third felony, you go to jail for life. Like, no matter what it is, because we kind of already gave you 2 bites at the apple and fuck you. But it's discretionary, right? So they don't have to charge it. And so I imagine, assuming Nevada has it, I think they might go for the life option for the next one. So yeah. And we've already done the mental health court twice. We've already tried the mental health court twice. Yeah.
Got an apartment, did everything right, was in contact with parole and probation. He was released to them in their custody. So now you saying you're finna send him back? What sense? In his mind, he didn't think he was going back. He was ready to go to work the following day. He, as we said in the courtroom, he got a dispatch from the Teamsters. You know, he was just in a better place. And like you said, you know, I just feel...
He was just in a better place. He was just in a better place. Once again, I would respectfully disagree with this woman, whether she's bio mom or foster mom, we can't quite figure out, but you know, whatever. But he's in a better place. Again, to use the most appropriate word, that statement is belied. Belied, I think, is the word for the day here, by his actions. Yeah.
It's true. Do you think that this will, essentially him being sentenced, will undo all the work that he's done to repair his mental state?
No, definitely not. It's only going to put him in a worse state of mind because the system has failed him, and that's how he feels.
The system has failed him. The system has failed him. Wow. 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 The lack of accountability is very, very real. Very, very real. Right? I mean, come on. The system has failed him at this point, with the 3 prior felonies and 9 prior misdemeanors and however many DVs he has, and all the other ones we don't even know about because no one pressed charges or whatever. I mean, those are just the convictions. Those are just the convictions. So how many times has the case been dropped for whatever reason? How many times has someone not pressed charges because they couldn't even be bothered, or he wasn't found out? Right? The system has failed him. You know? Really? Really? And now, so yeah, as you point out, neither of them so far have acknowledged the judge or the clerk court or the officer who was wounded. We saw his wound. He had a really big cut in his head. He had a serious skin flap issue, man. It was serious, right? He had a serious skin flap coming off right off his forehead, man. It was real. But the system failed him. The system failed him with the 2 mental health courts and all the probations and paroles and everything else we've tried. The system has failed. It's not him. It's not him. It's not his fault. It's that the judge used the trigger words. It's the judge used the trigger words. It's that the judge was really, really mean. The bailiff needed 25 stitches. This is what I'm talking about. I'm surprised it's so few, to be honest. That was one hell of a gash in his head. You know? I'm surprised it was as few as 25. Damn.
That's how he feels that since the system fails him, so he's going to come out with that mentality and go forward in life, knowing that he is.
I don't know that he's coming out, by the way. I don't know that he's coming out. Yeah, I don't know that he's coming out. I don't know what Nevada law allows for, but I imagine we're going to push for the limit on the new and exciting charges. So yeah.
He did everything that he can, and being in a better place is different for us all. If he can be in a better place for a month, 30 days, for him, that's a lot.
As a sister, as a mom.
If he can be, okay, well, what did you just say there? Okay, we need to actually hear that again. We need to hear that again because I think it might be the most accurate statement she's made so far. So I want you to listen to what she said because I think it might be the most accurate statement she said, okay?
that he has pleaded everything that he can, and being in a better place is different for us all. If he can be in a better place for a month, 30 days, for him, that's a lot.
Now, I actually believe that, and that's kind of the problem, right? So, yeah, he said he's in a better place now. He said he's in a better place now. But she just said, just now, that what a better place means is different for each person, which I suppose is true as far enough as it goes, right? Different, what it means to be in a better place is different for each person. I suppose that means. And then she says, if it's a month, 30 days, that's a lot for him. That's a lot for him. So his ability to be in a better place is apparently very, very short-lived. Apparently 30 days a month is a lot. If he can maintain being in a better place for a month or 30 days, that's a lot for him. So after that period of time has elapsed, whatever it is, if we're lucky enough to get to 30 days, he's just going to be back in the worst place and just doing it again. Once again, the penal theory of isolation is looking really, really good to me right now, right? As we consider the 5 different theories, as we consider the 5 theories by which we put people in jail, isolation is looking really, really good right about now. Keep him as far away from me as possible. Just keep him away from me. You know?
As a sister, as a mom, what was it like to see him in the spit mask and the scratch?
Of course, I cried. But even from the moment that he leaped and he jumped, and this lady right here is my witness, and she was in the courtroom on that day also. My first thought of mine was, please don't kill him. You know what I mean? Please, like, it shocked me, just as it shocked everybody else. Like, oh my God, I went to a state of shock. You know what I mean? So.
You went to a state of shock? Really? Really? I mean, you are aware of his record, right? I mean, was it really that shocking? If I did it, it would be shocking, but for him, okay.
It was heartbreaking, really, to see him. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's about his mental state. You know what I mean? His mental, like, we just seem to forget.
At the end of the day, it's about holding him accountable for his actions. At the end of the day, there's not one whiff of accountability in any of them. It's the system's fault. It's the trigger words. It's the mental health. There's absolutely no accountability here whatsoever. It's disgusting.
And in his eyes, he doesn't even understand that what he did was wrong.
If he doesn't understand what he did was wrong, keep him far, far, far away from me. Just keep him far away from me. If he doesn't understand what he did was wrong, keep him away from me. Isolation, baby. Isolation. Just keep him away. He's a danger to everybody. Holy shit.
Because he feels like he's just protecting his life. And any of us, if our life is threatened, we're going to react in 2 different ways.
And his mental diagnosis is what?
Schizophrenia, bipolar.
So he's completely mentally ill, right?
He has manic phases.
Completely ill.
So even so, the night before he had court.
I mean, not for nothing, but I know lawyers that have bipolar. So, and I'm sure there's lawyers that have schizophrenia too. Probably more psychopaths than schizophrenia, but yeah, I mean, there's probably some psychopath bipolar lawyers that do quite well by themselves. So, once again, control is a good thing.
I guess he didn't really sleep because when I picked him up to come to court, I noticed he was in there. I'm like, who are you talking to, D.O.? He's like, oh, nobody. I said, because as a kid, I used to tell him, like, don't start with those voices. Like, I would kind of soothe him, like, get the voices out your head. Come on, it's time to get up. It's time to go to school. It's time to do that just to keep him focused. But as he got older and he got put on the medication, I seen where he was much calmer. Because I believe so. They gave him his first dose of medication yesterday. Wow. tell in his voice that he was calmer and he didn't really realize the magnitude of how, what happened. Right. Like I said, I don't even feel it's funny. It's a joke. But, you know what I mean? I didn't
But
even
that should
realize.
be overlooked, like the judge said. Like, oh well,
He just
this is you got a history of this. Well, it's part of his life and who he is.
And Miss
Once again, that is the problem. That is the problem. You're using it as an excuse. It's a feature, not a bug, right? It's a feature, not a bug. You're like, this is a bug because it's who he is. I'm like, no, it's a feature of who he is. You have it right. It is part of his life. It is who he is. You are correct. You are correct. Keep him far, far away. Just all the way. Just as far away as possible forever. Just keep him far. Again, not one comment from either of them about the judge. Not one comment from either of them about the deputy who was hurt. Not one comment of empathy or sympathy. Not one comment of shame, regrets, nothing. Just the system failed. Mental health, treatment. These people are the problem. These people are the problem. You say he was not surrounded by, you said earlier he's not surrounded by anyone good. Remember when you said that earlier? He's not surrounded by anyone good. I tend to think you're right because you're a bad person. You don't help keep him accountable. You're a part of the problem, lady. You're part of the problem.
Karen, you're his foster mother, and how many?
All right, so this is the foster mother. This is the foster mother, not crack mom. So now we got that clarified.
How many children do you have?
I fostered him and his siblings. Actually, 4.
How did you guys plan on supporting him in his journey now that he will be behind bars? How do you guys intend on supporting him?
I've always supported him, and I've always supported him, but he'll tell you if anybody's number is the same as mine. Whenever he's, trouble or whatever, pick up the phone. And like I say, I'm here to court for support. I actually taken off work. My employer allowed, me to be here. It's all about me supporting him, but, whatever he needs, I'm a phone call away. So, but the main thing is to make sure that he's getting the proper care.
Yeah, I plan on helping him understand his mental condition because he doesn't understand what he suffers from.
So outside of him suffering from that episode, how would you describe his normal disposition?
Oh, he's a sweetheart. He is the sweetest.
He is a sweetheart. He is the sweetest. He is a sweetheart. He is the sweetest. If he's the sweetest man you know, you are doomed.
Young man, he will lend his arm to help somebody. He will give his arm up for sure.
As a family, have you guys been discussing what the next steps are looking like?
I mean, what you think? I guess tomorrow is another episode? With like I say, he had 4 charges. Now they jumped to 15, 16? Like extortion, really, like I said, no disrespect. We don't condone what he did. As far as everybody, see what he did? No, he didn't do that to the bailiff. The bailiff did that to himself.
And if you're not in your right state of
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what?
We don't condone what he did. As far as everybody, see what he did? No, he didn't do that to the bailiff. The bailiff did that to himself.
No, I'm sorry. I must have misheard. One more time.
see what he did? No, he didn't do that to the bailiff. The bailiff did that to himself. You know, his
and if
car.
you're not in your race,
He didn't do that to the bailiff. The bailiff did it to himself. He didn't do it to the bailiff. The bailiff did it to himself. In what possible sense? I can only think of one of two ways that could possibly be true in any sort of sense, because I'm desperately trying to like make it make sense in my mind. I can only think of one of two ways that statement can be true in any possible sense. In the most literal sense possible, which is that somehow during the scuffle, the bailiff literally caused the injury to himself, which I don't know how she would know that, because she couldn't really see from her perspective, right? Even if she would be in the gallery and she can't really see, presumably, what's exactly going on. So, and they haven't been able to talk to him, right? Remember, because there's no visiting hours. And I don't think anyone else in the gallery would be able to see, because they're all in the same vantage point. So I don't know how they would possibly know that. Of course, as a legal principle, intent follows the bullet is sort of the theory here. So if I intend to hit person A but hit person B, my intent carries through. So if, assuming somehow, some way, the bailiff did something that caused the injury to himself, but he did it in the course of attempting to cause the harm to the bad guy, then it was defense of others. He would be person B in this scenario, right? I intend to hurt person A, but I hit her person B. So I'm person B in this scenario, but my intent carries through because I was trying to hit person A. So I can only think of, so somehow it's literal, it's in the most literal sense, which, of course, even if it's first one, would she possibly know it's true in the most literal sense? Two, like, does she not contemplate why it was true, right? So assuming somehow the bailiff calls to himself in the most literal sense, like, why did that happen? Right? And it was obviously in the course of attempting to stop him. So like that. The only other way, so that's one interpretation. The only other way that you could understand that statement is that he caused the damage to himself by imposing himself into the conflict, right? He volunteered himself into the conflict. If he had just stayed out of the conflict, right, but for causation, right? If he had just stayed out of the conflict, then the harm wouldn't have come to him. But first of all, like, it's his job. He's supposed to, right? We've been kind of critical of the other bailiffs who perhaps didn't do their jobs as well. So it's his job. And even if it wasn't his job, defense of others, like, for example, the law clerk, it's not his job to do it. It isn't his job. But he was the first one to act. He got there faster than anybody. And it's like defense of others. So this statement is, I don't know why I'm trying to analyze the statement logically. Because the statement is just atrocious. The statement is just completely atrocious. It's reprehensible. It's vile. It's deplorable. It's scandalous. It's lacks empathy. It lacks empathy. It lacks compassion. It I don't even have enough words. I don't even have enough words. To blame this on the deputy in any sense is the most. I need other vocab words. It's the most absurd's pretty good. Absurd is pretty good. I feel like I need something else. I'm struggling to come up with a word strong enough. Self-delusional. So self-delusional, most like bald-faced lie, egregious. Yeah. It's I'm hunting for the right word, and it's like I need a word that reflects like I need like a word that reflects like utter dishonesty. I need a word that reflects like utter intentional dishonesty. You know, utter intentional disregard of every possible reality. I need a word that's like myopic isn't bad. Yeah, I need a word like that. I need a word that's like utter, total abandonment of reason, self-imposed deception, utter disregard of reality, purposefully obtuse. Perfidacious is pretty good. Beyond the pale, yeah. It's I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Perfidacious isn't bad. Asinine. Yeah. Mendacious. Yeah. Mendacious isn't bad either. All right, I'm gonna move on because my vocab words are not strong enough. It is like so in contrast with reality. I can't believe she said the words out loud. It's like it's like cognitive dissonance, but it's like worse. It's like it's so. I can't believe she said it out loud. My brain is unwilling to accept that someone could say that out loud in apparent total sincerity. That's what I really am feeling. Yeah, that's I need a word for the fact that my brain is unwilling or unable to accept that she said that because it's so completely absurd that my brain can't accept that it's true. That's what I need a word for. Shit.
My state of mind, is it you or is it the sickness or the illness?
My name is Karen Denise Springer.
Please spell it for us.
Springer, Karen, Karen. Want Denise? Denise, Denise, Springer, Spring.
Is there anything else you guys want to add?
That was so very courageous of you guys to step up and take, it was not easy.
It's courageous of you guys to stand up. Courageous isn't exactly the word I'd go for here. The media apparently placating them with courageous. Courageous isn't quite the word I'd come to. You know what the problem is? I think I just figured it out. I think I just figured out what the problem is. Why I can't come up with the right word. I think, although I didn't realize it at the time, my lizard brain is working here. Like, so we're past logic. If you go with the triune brain theory, right? So my logic is on top of reason. Logic is on top of emotion, is on top of the lizard brain, right? The fight or flight mechanism, right? So the reason that my brain can't figure it out is because it's really not my brain that's really working in this context, right? My reaction to them is visceral. My reaction to them is you know, is in the sense of like just violent dominance, right? It's like no logic, no emotion, just pure animalistic impulse, right? My level of despising these people is so deep, right? My level of despising these people is so deep. I'm thinking it in my brainstem is basically what's happening right about now. That's why I can't reason it, because my feeling of abject horror is being felt by my brainstem. Holy shit, it's so completely ridiculous. Just I want to take out the whacking stick and wail until I feel better.
I was initially in the courthouse, and you could just see he snapped, and it was mental illness.
Feral, there you go.
That's the way sometimes things go. The mental illness. Thank you. Thank you. That was very brave.
Yeah, Teamsters.
He had a Teamster 631. I just paid for his dues to get paid, so he was ready to go to work.
So what was the nature of the work? Was
It's like labor board, extra board, they call it.
extra? So labor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What is your name again? LaDonna.
All right, so that's the ending of the stupid, which I obviously hadn't heard before playing it with you. This is a 14-minute video. All right. The YouTube video we just watched is 14 minutes long. We've now been streaming for an hour and 7. As whatever is left of my logic and reason attempts to process this in any sense that it can understand. And I've come to the conclusion at the end of this long process that with respect to this particular issue, I don't think I want to understand. I think I want to beat literally everyone who just spoke and the bad guy and literally everyone they know with a whacking stick until my morale improves. That is the conclusion I've come to. I am beyond reason. I am beyond emotion. I just want to whack everyone involved with the whacking stick until my morale improves and I feel better inside. You know, you're such complete idiots. The beatings will happen until the idiocy leaves you. You know, the beatings will happen until you stop being moronic idiots. This level of idiocy should not be tolerated. It's just too much. It is just too much. I mean, not since Baghdad, not since Baghdad Bob. Not since Baghdadi Bob has there been anyone who has made statements this blatantly against all reality. Yeah, uber level of gaslighting. Yeah, there you go. Right, the level of gas. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Yeah, because gaslighting, at least according to the play, right? The idea is that the light is brought slightly up, right? It's that the guy's changing it slowly, boiling frog kind of thing, right? And so it's a little bit by little bit, and every day it's like just a very tiny change. So it's like, no, it's the same as the day before. He's mostly telling the truth. Like, it's a very subtle thing. The flagrant, it's like a flamethrower of gaslighting. It's so blatantly brazen. It's so blatantly brazen and clearly manifest. It defies, and they're trying to tell me that the light isn't changing when they're shooting the sun into my eyes. You know, it's like it was dark outside. It's like the Truman Show when it was dark outside, and then, you know, Christos said, "Turn on the lights," and all the sun basically came up, and it'd be like, "Hey, saying it's still dark outside. It's still dark outside, despite the fact the sun has risen." Right? It was dark. It was dark a minute ago, so it must be dark now. It's still dark, right? It's that level of like gaslighting. It's like the brazenness, the shamelessness of it is just so incredibly like, I don't know. It's just it's like everyone can see it's not true. Except, of course, except the media, apparently, which called these statements courageous. Yeah, it's, yeah, yeah. I mean, Daryl Brooks was closer to reality, I think, in some ways. I mean, you know, I didn't quite have this reaction to his closing statement. You know, he had some lines in there that were almost workable. So Daryl Brooks was closer to reality than this. You know, Daryl Brooks didn't try to say, "Hey, the wreck never happened. There was no car and there was no parade, and there's no damage to a car. What vehicle?" You know, so Daryl Brooks was more in touch with reality than this. Also, no empathy or sympathy to the judge. No empathy or sympathy to the bailiff, who apparently did it to himself. The audacity, yeah, the audacity. But like, I need stronger words. It's like I need stronger words, you know, because maybe it's just that audacity has been diluted too much in my mind, right? So it's like audacity is the right idea, but it's like I need something stronger, because I like audacity. I need more, you know, more than audacity. You know, I need stronger words. Hubris is pretty good. Yeah. Her comments are reprehensible. Yeah, reprehensible, abhorrent, immoral, evil. She has apparently no self-awareness whatsoever or conscience. You know, if you think she doesn't seem particularly introspective. You know, she doesn't seem like she ever takes blame. It's always someone else's fault. And it's always the man's fault or something else. It's like, yeah. The fucking audacity. There's a C word I really want to use, but I'm very hesitant to use the word, because in American English, it's a really big insult, and I don't want to be clipped out of context, but I can't think of anything else. I just can't think of anything else. If there was ever a time, man, this is it, man. She's a see you next Tuesday. She is an absolute see you next Tuesday. She's just a complete, irredeemable see you next Tuesday. That's all I've got left. That's all I got left. Wow. My mind is blown. My mind is blown. She may be single. That's not even funny, man. I know you're trying to make a joke, but that's really not even funny right now, man. Dude, come on. All right. Yeah. Smunt. I'm gonna get some chicken wings or something, man. I earned them. I'd be better off with Amber Heard than this lady, I'm pretty sure. I think I'd be better off with Amber Heard than this woman, and that's saying a lot. Yeah, I'm not. I think I might be better off with Amber Heard than this woman. This is rough. I did a workout this morning at the gym. I worked out first thing this morning, man. I worked out first thing this morning. Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. My mind is shooketh. My mind is shooketh. For the 1,600 of you that are currently watching, by the way, thank you very much. I appreciate everyone being here. I'm going to send you Recovery Addict's way because, you know, we want to be nice to him. And I'm going to continue processing this and see if my brain can incorporate this into my programming, because it's some absolute total bullshit. So yeah, if, by the way, of course, for the 1,700 of you who are here, if you'd hit the like button on your way out, that would be great. And if you haven't become a member, now would be good. Remember, for 99 cents, you too can become an uncivilian. 99 cents a month, for less than the price of a third of a cup of coffee. For 1/3 of one cup of coffee, you can support me for an entire month, man. What a deal. Hit the beautiful, beautiful join button. We will be on later with some more content. Probably going to do a Supreme Court Reacts at some point this week. I'm out for now. I've been on Civil Law. Until later, my friends. I hope all is well. Cheers, my friends. And for now, Recovery Addict isn't on. Okay, because I had set it up. He's not live. Oh, I set it up when he was still live. Did he give up the stream? Oh, all right. Hold on. Oh, you're right. His stream is over. Okay, who's live? Is anyone live that we can send you to? Who's live? I have no one in my feed. Apparently, I have no one I'm subscribed to is live. Who's live? Is Melanie Little? Great. I'll send you that way. I'm not sure why no one is showing up in my feeds. Oh yeah, she's live. All right, I'm subscribed to her, but she doesn't show up when I click it for some reason. All right, I'll send you to Melanie Little. You know the drill. Be nice, say hello, be kind. I've been on Civil Law. Until later, my friends, I hope all's well. Cheers, my friends, and goodbye.